Joining the Closing Bell Exchange today, we've got Chris Hyzy, CIO of Global Wealth and Investment Management at Bank of America, CNBC market analyst Steve Grasso from Stuart Frankel, and Rick Santelli joins us, as always, from the CME Group in Chicago. Steve, are you impressed with how the rest of the market held up despite that Facebook flop?
So if we would have all sat here yesterday and said that Facebook was going to have that flop, and what would the market do the following day, we would have thought it was going to crater. We would have thought the other sectors would not have been able to compensate. We would have thought a ton of things would have happened. None of that happened. So I would think today the fact that they're weeding out the Facebook, even from the value side of FANG, is very healthy.
Chris, when we consider the big risks that remain out there, has trade gone away or been much diminished as one of them, given the EU-US conversations yesterday?
Oh, it's gone away for a few hours, but certainly not gone away at all. I mean, you have to look at a few things. I think the one thing that will take it away in general is if we get a bad growth print overall in the economy, and that carries some weight to it in the United States. So we're going to see this go back and forth, in our opinion, over the next 6 weeks through the midterms, and possibly into next year. This latest situation could actually create a little bit more consternation with the U.S. and China relationship if there is some sort of a, dare we call it, a coalition to get together against China.
Steve, when we look at the sector performance today, the trade tensions easing was a significant offset to the Facebook decline.
Definitely. And when you watch Boeing or a Cat or a John Deere start to actually perform, when these have been under a tremendous barrage from the marketplace and from the indices, I think that's impressive. Also, when you look at the overall market looking towards GDP, as we said before, if that's a good print, that takes us over the goal line once again. And it really does confuse a lot of the issues, actually in a good way, because you don't know where Chair Powell's going to be. We want him to be dovish. The marketplace obviously wants to be dovish. We want to be dovish on tariffs. The president wants it to be dovish. So he might not listen to him, but he hears them.
So Rick, I'm very glad you're here, as always, because all of this Facebook talk and everything, we've neglected to talk about some key pieces of economic data that we got today ahead of that GDP report.
Yeah, no, there was definitely some important data points. I particularly like the proxy for business spending, capital goods orders, non-defense ex-aircraft, and the positive revision along with shipments. Those are preliminary data points, by the way, for durables, so they could change radically. The inventory numbers, retail and wholesale, all combined actually took away a little bit from the final estimate for our second quarter by Atlanta GDP. Now it's slipped under 4%. But GDP tomorrow is really critical. And I do, Sarah, I always call it the way I see it. Listen, this isn't the first time that we're going to get something in the 4s or maybe in the 5s, because anybody who harkens back to 2014, Q1 was down 0.9, but Q2 was up 4.6, Q3 was up 5.2, Q4 was up 2%. The issue, reason I remember, is because that's when the Fed ought to have started probably taking away some of the stimulus, but they didn't. The point is that the numbers lately have been a little less variant. It's been a steadier system, and a lot of peripheral economic indicators are a bit different than they were in 2014. But I can't dismiss how important tomorrow's GDP number is.
Gents, before I let everyone go, let's get a prediction on what we think the GDP number is. Rick, what number are you going for?
4.7.
Steve?
4.6.
Chris?
Favorite number, 4.4.
There we go. Odd favorite number. But so
I will say the Atlanta Fed went down.
It must have looked great on the back of a baseball jersey.
Yeah, exactly.
4.4. Now batting, lefty.
Can't pick it on the roulette table. I don't really know what the point is. But there we go. If you're right, you're right. And it's a lucky number. Gents, thank you all very much. Chris, Steve, and Rick.